A mighty hero always needs a powerful opponent. That was exactly what Anissa proved herself to be when she first appeared in the pages of Invincible, fighting the young hero. Today, we explore the anatomy of the strong Viltrumite warrior Anissa, and break down her origins and the progress she made with time. Before we get into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Who is Anissa? Backstory explained. Anissa was born on the planet Viltrum and was 1,000 years old, being one of the warriors who saw the rise of Thrag into becoming the Grand Regent of the Viltrum Empire. Anissa met Mark Grayson, aka Invincible, for the first time when he was having lunch with his mother, Debbie, threatening to kill her if Mark didn't go with her. Mark agreed to meet Anissa 2 miles above the air, and then she apologized for threatening his mother, revealing that she did it to get him alone. Anissa asked Mark what measures he'd taken to prepare Earth for the eventual takeover by the Viltrum Empire, as he was the designated Viltrumite agent for the planet. When Mark assumed that he would have to fight Anissa, she was quick to decline, and rather tried to clear up his misconception of the Viltrum Empire being a race of warmongers who should be feared and opposed. Anissa acknowledged the mistake she made by threatening Mark's mother, blaming it on the cultural difference between being raised on Earth and Viltrum. She pointed out the good Viltrumites would do for Earth by taking over, making it free of all disease, preventing unsanctioned violence, and even sharing technology, turning Earth into a utopia. Anissa pointed out how generations would live in peace because of the Viltrum Empire. But when Mark asked what would happen when they had taken all of Earth's resources, Anissa revealed that it would be destroyed, similar to what was already happening on the planet because of humans. Their discussion was interrupted by Cecil Stedman, a government agent who informed Mark about a monster attacking a cruise ship. Mark decided to leave to help the cruise people, and Anissa offered to help convince Mark of her compassion toward humans. Anissa rammed into the monster's head, killing it with ease, and then helped Mark to get the people back to the ship. But Cecil soon informed Mark that the ship was sinking and needed to be taken to a nearby island. Anissa then helped Mark carry the ship to the island, and commended him for his effort in helping humans. Anissa asked Mark once more if he was going to help the Viltrum Empire take over Earth, mentioning how no one needed to be hurt in the process. However, when Mark replied that he was not fully convinced, she proceeded to punch him. Anissa continued to beat up Mark in the air, and stopped after slamming him on the beach, mentioning how he had no choice in the matter, as the Viltrum Empire would take over Earth by any means necessary. Anissa revealed that another agent would arrive in 5 months or 5 years to check on Mark's progress, and if he continued to oppose, then he would be killed and replaced, asking Mark to come to his senses by then. Anissa then visited the Viltrumite warship to inform General Krieg about being unsuccessful in convincing Mark to help their empire, but assured him that Mark would soon join their side. Later, Anissa spotted Alan while he was flying back to Telescria, and started fighting with him with the intention of imprisonment. Anissa was initially caught off guard by Alan's newfound strength, but was able to defeat him in combat, or so she thought, as Alan only faked his defeat. Battle for power. Anissa attacked the Coalition of Planets headquarters at Telescria, and later grabbed Tech Jacket, intending to kill him by bear-hugging, but that was stopped due to being attacked by Thetis. When she grabbed both Thetis and Tech Jacket, Nolan arrived to attack her, which enraged her. She attacked in return, calling Nolan a disgrace because he was a traitor. When Mark and Kid Omni-Man destroyed the Viltrumite warship, Anissa attacked Alan. Still, she soon returned to Viltrum along with Thrag and the other Viltrumites to prepare for the Coalition of Planet Warriors' attack. When the Coalition arrived, Anissa got distracted after discovering that Mark killed Conquest and faced Nolan's attack. When Nolan, Thetis, and Mark destroyed Viltrum, Anissa was busy in battle but managed to survive the planet's explosion. Anissa, along with Krieg and the other Viltrumites, then went on to attack Alan and was later distracted by Space Racer's firing beam, while her fellow Viltrumites died. Anissa then left with Thrag and a few other Viltrumites after Thrag spared the lives of Nolan and Mark, almost beating them to death. The Viltrumites, including Anissa, went into hiding on Earth to live among humans and replenish their dwindling population. Anissa was visibly enraged when 2 men tried to flirt with her while she sat on a bench. Life on Earth. Anissa, Lucan, and Krieg were criticized by Thrag on the Viltrumite moon base due to them not engaging in procreation, and got reminded of the main reason why the Viltrumites arrived on Earth, which was to mate with humans. Thrag found Anissa's refusal to mate with humans to be particularly unacceptable, but Anissa expressed that it was not just about mating with humans, but also that she didn't want children in the first place. When Krieg and Lucan explained their situation and why they couldn't mate, both Anissa and Thrag become disgusted, resulting in Thrag asking them all to leave. Later, when Thrag attempts to kill Nolan, Anissa arrives along with Lucan, Krieg, and Thula. When Krieg asked Thrag to explain what he did, Thrag lied that Nolan attempted to kill him, and then mentioned that Nolan being Argyl's son made him weak to lead. Anissa and the others soon turned against Thrag and attempted to kill him, but Nolan stopped them, asking them to spare Thrag. Anissa then bowed in front of Nolan along with others, as he was chosen to be the Emperor of the Viltrum Empire. Anissa, along with everyone else, attended Nolan's inauguration ceremony on the warship, and also watched Nolan's arm wrestling with Mark. Later, Anissa helped the Guardians of the Globe against Dr. Seismic, who summoned a magmamite monster. Anissa easily defeats the monster by flying through it, similar to what she did when she fought a monster on Earth with Mark. Mark flew up to see who killed the beast and asked Anissa about her motive for watching Nolan's arm wrestle. Anissa revealed that it was Mark who she was watching, not Nolan, and kissed him before flying away, hoping to see him soon. A point of no return. Anissa met Mark for the first time in 6 months and questioned him about his whereabouts, though before Mark could reply, Anissa brought up the topic of the Viltrumite mission of procreating with humans, and how she was not fulfilling it. She told him that she didn't want to mate with humans, but would rather settle for mating with Mark, because of his Viltrumite heritage. But Mark refused, as he was with Eve and flew away. Anissa attacked Mark to stop him from leaving, and attempted to seduce him, despite asking her to leave him alone, and even threatening to fight her. When Mark refused to give in to her seduction, Anissa resorted to forcing him by headbutting him. Mark tried to fight her off lightly, in the hopes that she would leave, but Anissa started enjoying their fight, and even prevented Mark from punching her. Noticing his increased strength, Anissa soon overpowered Mark, causing them both to crash land on a farm, where, despite Mark's refusal and attempts to push her off, Anissa sat on top of him and raped him by using her elbow on his neck as a restraint. Mark was horrified by the experience, and started to cry, which Anissa brushed off by asking him to man up, and even implying that she might repeat this action as she flew off, leaving Mark traumatized. Anissa then saved Monster Girl from suffocating to death in space, and reported to Nolan about it, along with information about the area where one of Rex Robot's drones was sighted and about the Viltrumite waiting for Nolan's order. Anissa also whispered in Mark's ear about missing him when Nolan got occupied by another Viltrumite. Anissa then accompanied Nolan and a few other Viltrumites to confront the drone, but upon their arrival, Robot revealed he only wanted to talk and asked about Monster Girl's condition. Robot promised to work with Nolan, and they were able to come to an agreement when Mark suddenly arrived and started to fight Robot's drone. When Anissa tried to help Mark, he slapped her hand away. One day later, Anissa ran into Mark in the warship, which angered him to the point that he grabbed Anissa by her neck and slammed her into the wall, asking her to back off. When Nolan noticed this, he shouted at Mark but was told to stay out of the matter. Anissa then infuriated Mark more by mentioning his attack aroused her and made her want to repeat her actions of raping him. Mark, visibly shocked after hearing this, left with Nolan while Anissa smiled. Fixing mistakes. Anissa gave birth to her and Mark's son, Marcus, a few months after Mark left Earth. During the 5 years, she fell in love with a man named Scott Murphy, whom she ended up marrying, and had a daughter named Molly. Anissa visited the Viltrumite warship after she found out that Mark was back on Earth, where she had been attacked by Eve. Nolan and Mark broke their fight, but after Eve suggested something was occurring between Anissa and Mark, Nolan grabbed her by the neck. Mark defended Anissa by lying to Nolan, following which he asked her to leave. Anissa returned home to her husband and 2 children, where she showed gratitude to Scott for helping her become a better person, and also regret for all of her past actions, including what she did to Mark. Anissa, who came to care about Earth with time, was contacted by Nolan, and she then met with her fellow Viltrumites, Lucan and Krieg, to prepare to defend Earth. Unbeknownst to her, though, Nolan was informed by Mark about Anissa raping him, but Nolan made peace with that information because of how much she had changed and progressed over the 5 years. In the fight against Thrag's children, Anissa saved Eve by sacrificing herself and was cut open. In her final moments, Anissa apologized to Eve for raping Mark, but also said that she didn't completely regret it, as it led to the birth of Marcus. Eve tried to save Anissa by putting her in a bubble, but Anissa ended up dying after giving in to her heavy injuries. Deep dive into her genetics. Being a part of the Viltrumite species, Anissa's genetics are extremely powerful and quite adaptable. Saying that Anissa possesses massive strength compared to normal humans would be an understatement, as she can not only lift several tons of weight, but also train to improve all her life due to being a warrior. Similar to her strength, Anissa also possesses high stamina, being able to withstand physical exertion without breaking a sweat, along being able to endure different types of attacks, making her really tough to defeat. Anissa also has an exceptional sense of hearing, which allows her to hear sounds coming from really far off distances, and even cancel out noises to focus on one sound in particular. Anissa's Viltrumite dominant genes allow her to reproduce with any species, along with the resulting offspring primarily inheriting the Viltrumite genes, due to its overpowering nature against the mate's genes. This nature of the genes means that the offspring could very well be a pure Viltrumite with compatibility of the mate's genetics, only deciding the time needed for the offspring to receive their standard powers. Do her anger issues increase her powers? Anissa can cause a massive violent outburst with very little to trigger her anger, due to her suffering from a severely rare form of behavioral disorder known as intermittent explosive disorder, IED. This disorder is characterized by violent anger outbursts, to the level of being uncontrollable compared to the reason for the anger. This doesn't necessarily mean that Anissa's power increases, but rather her rage ends up getting the best of her. Anissa's violent outbursts cause her to use the full force of her powers on her opponent, if she gets even a little annoyed or infuriated. This level of anger may be a huge obstacle in her daily life, but when fighting opponents, can be of a massive help, as the opponent needs to say something only mildly annoying to tick her off. How much time can she survive without breathing? Anissa's Viltrumite physiology gives her an increased lung capacity that can allow her to hold her breath for up to 2 whole weeks without breathing. This particular feat can easily allow her to be an exceptional undercover mission operative, which may need her to hide underwater or even in closed spaces where there's a lack of oxygen. If we actually focus more on the hiding underwater aspect, then she can use her lung capacity to also hide from stronger enemies in the depths of the ocean, or to even make surprise attacks if the fight is taking place somewhere with water bodies around. Does she have feelings? The Viltrumite species have a really distorted understanding of intimacy, where they see emotions, love, and passion to be signs of weakness that can cloud their judgment. Along with that, sex also becomes just a means to reproduce to make more children, who go on to become Viltrumite soldiers in the future. This is a particular problem which Nolan struggled with when he started his relationship with Debbie, as he only understood romance after spending more time on Earth. A similar situation happened to one of Thrag's undercover spies, as he had children with a lot of women. Anissa, due to being a Viltrumite, also struggled with similar issues, and didn't even want to consider mating with humans, but rather went down a horrific path when she wanted to have sex with Mark because of his Viltrumite heritage, to fulfill her mission of procreation. Despite Mark refusing her proposition a few times, Anissa resorted to forcing herself on Mark, and overpowered him to rape him, putting her elbow at his neck to keep him still. Her actions visibly left Mark traumatized by her in all of their future interactions, though she eventually opened herself up to emotions and love when she fell in love with her husband, Scotty, and felt a strong motherly bond to her children. Anissa also understood the severity of the pain she inflicted when she raped Mark and apologized for it till her dying breath. Why can her skin survive fire or extreme heat? Anissa possesses an increased level of endurance due to being a Viltrumite, which gives her a rapid healing factor, making her immune to extreme disembowelment, enduring lava, and even bomb blasts. Despite this, intense heat such as from the sun or boiling plasma can easily break down the healing factor. This weakness was exposed in Invincible issue 140, when Mark exploited this move during his fight with Thrag by taking him inside the sun and then killing him. It is of course not easily possible to create the extreme heat needed to kill a Viltrumite, but it is a move other Viltrumites can exploit to kill, thus making Anissa susceptible to injury or death if she were to be exposed to it. Can her body recover if it's cut in half? Anissa's Viltrumite skin and rapid healing factor can make her immune to severe injuries, which would normally be fatal to humans, and also would make it really difficult to even make an impact that would last long. With that out of the way, Viltrumites don't possess the ability to regenerate, which means that if Anissa's body was cut in half, then it could lead to her death. Can she fly? Anissa's Viltrumite physiology gives her inner ear a complex balancing system that allows her to fly quite easily in air. This, in addition to the large lung capacity, means that Anissa can also fly easily in space without the need of additional equipment like a spacesuit, oxygen tank, and spaceship. This makes her quite powerful, not only on land, but also in air as well as space. Why is Anissa more powerful than Mark? This is quite an unfair comparison to make in the first place, due to Anissa being a pure Viltrumite, which means she had her powers since birth. Due to her affiliation with the Viltrum Empire, she's also spent her whole life training to master her powers and be a strong warrior. Not to forget Anissa being thousands of years old, which means she practically had 1,000 years to get more skilled. In comparison, Mark on the other hand didn't receive his powers until he was 17 years old because of his half-human genetics, making him severely less experienced to use his powers to their fullest potential. But it can be said that with more training and with more time, Mark can also unlock the potential of his powers similar to Anissa. So it's quite an easy guess to make that Anissa would be more powerful than Mark on any given day and could easily overpower him on numerous occasions. Can she reproduce? Does she have a kid with a normal human? Anissa got pregnant as a result of raping Mark, resulting in the birth of their son, Marcus Murphy, merely a few months after Mark left Earth. During the 5-year time jump, Anissa also fell in love and married a human named Scott Murphy, with whom she had a daughter, Molly Murphy. They both debut in issue number 129 of the Invincible comics. What is her actual age? How does she look so young? Anissa is actually 1,000 years old, but due to her being a Viltrumite, she stays at her physical prime even after living for that long. This happens because the aging of her body slows down the longer she lives, allowing Anissa to be able to maintain her youthful appearance, health, as well as performance similar to when she was younger. Does she have any weaknesses? Due to Anissa's enhanced hearing and sensitivity, she can be weakened by high-frequency noise. This is a particular feat that was used on Mark in Invincible issue number 111, when Rex Robot used a special armor to emit a sonic pulse when anyone would hit it, leading to Mark suffering through immense pain, and prolonged exposure to it would probably have been fatal for him. In Invincible issue number 100, David Anders, aka Dinosaurus, also exploited this weakness to find the perfect frequency that paralyzed Mark, so it's safe to assume that Anissa's Viltrumite physiology would also make her similarly paralyzed. Viltrumites like Anissa can also get overpowered by species that possess similar or higher strength than her, such as the alien race called the Ragnar. Thrag had a tough time fighting only one of them, while Nolan classified them in his documentation as a force that should not be messed with. Anissa, like all Viltrumites, is also not immune to viruses like the Scourge virus, which was used by the Coalition of Planets to wipe out nearly the entire population of Viltrum by attacking their immune system, along with shutting down their strength and invulnerability. The alien lifeform called the Klaxus planet emits a poison that can take away the powers of all Viltrumites, which can be classified as a weakness for Anissa, as it would make her utterly defenseless against her enemies. Like all Viltrumites, Anissa has a very short temper, which is evident when Mark refuses to help the Viltrum Empire take over Earth. This can be easily exploited by more calculated and calm enemies to take down Anissa. Marvelous verdict. Anissa was introduced in the comics as a worthy opponent to Invincible, with whom he needed to match up. Anissa's initial personality made her a worthy asset of the Viltrum Empire, but she remained anything but one note. With time, Anissa evolved to become a defender of Earth. She even changed her Viltrumite ways into becoming a loving wife and mother, as well as a compassionate person who tried to make up for her initial misgivings. If you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone!